So, a while ago on TikTok, for a fun little project, I decided to reinterpret the Star Wars galaxy, with the understanding that if I had the opportunity to create a new era of Star Wars, it would look like this. And I had a lot of fun with it. I had republics and empires, I had Jedi and Sith, I had pirates and smugglers. If you want to check it out, there's a playlist for it on my TikTok page. It's nothing serious or flashy, but I enjoyed it. The thing is, though, when I was doing that series, I had someone in my comments ask me, hey, can you give Halo the same kind of treatment? Can you reimagine the world and setting of Halo? So first disclosure for this video, I am not an OG Halo fan. I have been a PlayStation boy for a great majority of my prestigious gamer career. So truth be told, most of my experience with Halo had been couch co-op and playing with friends who actually had Xboxes. But recently, I have had the opportunity to go back and play the original Halo games on PC with my friend Boo Radley, who is very excited to show me one of his favorite franchises. I'll link his Twitch down below. And very quickly, I came to appreciate why so many people have fallen in love with this franchise. The concept is amazing sci-fi. The setting is beautiful. The music is angelic. Master Chief is that guy on every level. And the world of Halo is genuinely brilliant. The Covenant is genuinely one of the coolest takes on the evil empire, from a gameplay perspective and a story perspective. A multi-species theocratic empire that worships ancient alien technology and whose capital is a space station asteroid. It's so good! The ability to create different enemy types and different challenges and different combat encounters, all stemming from this in-world idea, it just makes it such a satisfying experience altogether. And the games constantly refine and shift perspective in ways that make the story feel rich and layered, nuanced. Halo 1, you're Action Man Master Chief mowing down the Covenant. Well, guess what? In Halo 2, you're gonna be a member of the Covenant and actually explore this theocratic antagonist you've been fighting this whole time. And also still mow down the Covenant. In Halo 3, you continue playing as larger-than-life figures, Master Chief and the Arbiter, on their grand quest to save all life in the galaxy. Contrast that with ODST, where you go from playing as a literal super soldier to someone woefully underleveled for these kinds of enemies, dealing with the fallout of the actions you caused in the prior game. It's abundantly clear why this franchise skyrocketed in success just based on its writing alone. That's not even counting the amazing gameplay that it has or all the other technical elements that went into making this franchise what it has come to be known as. So this is where we get back to the original question of the video. What would you do with the Halo world if you were trying to reinterpret it or change it or create a new era for it? I don't really know, and I don't think anybody really knows. Ever since the end of the original Bungie trilogy, Halo has kind of been chasing the coattails of its own success, and a huge part of that has just been in trying to find something that is as interesting and creative as that original humans versus Covenant conflict. They tried it with the Didac and the Prometheans. They tried it with Cortana succumbing to her madness. They even tried to set up a sort of Spartan v Spartan rivalry, this fated clash, this almost Civil War-like showdown between Spartan Locke and Chief. And from what it seems, none of these have really stuck the same way the Covenant has. Getting to the point that by the time of Halo Infinite, the primary antagonists are the Banished, which are literally just the Covenant again, but this time they're red. And not only do I think that is a boring idea, I think that red is a much more boring choice of color than purple anyway. And I would honestly say that this is one of the great ironies of Halo as a franchise. It was so successful in cementing its setting as unique and interesting that to move beyond it in any direction, in any major way, is to have it stop feeling like Halo. Learning about the origins of life and technology in the universe is interesting, but it doesn't help Master Chief feel like a soldier. He starts feeling like a space archaeologist. Cortana going rogue and starting something of an AI uprising is fun, because this character is important to us and the characters in the world, but it doesn't feel like a fight against unbeatable odds. It feels like trying to stop a problem that we ourselves caused. And Locke being sent out to take down Chief sounds like a really cool rivalry and final clash, but it removes the gameplay from that original, interesting, varied enemy type loop that made Halo so successful. It becomes humans versus humans, which there are so many shooters that already do that already. Even the dangling narrative threads from the other Halo game story kind of push Halo away from that sweet spot. ODST and Reach put humanity in a far more gray light, pointing out that in a fight against an unassailable foe, sacrifices are going to be made. Unethical choices, cruel decisions are going to be argued as vital and necessary for the sake of survival. But again, if the choice was made to explore this area of Halo's story, to double down on the shady things that Halsey has done, all the stuff that Oni gets up to, really explore the darker side of the Halo world, you're not going to encounter something that's gonna scratch that Halo itch. Mass Effect is another trilogy of games that has the exact same problem. And really, it shouldn't have this problem. The Mass Effect world is way more sprawling and calm than the circumstances you find in Halo. It has a diverse world filled with different species and intergalactic politics, but they're not solely focused on destroying humanity. There's also an abundance of room to explore everyday life and the casual goings-on in the Mass Effect world compared to Halo.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
And yet, when Mass Effect Andromeda drops, meh. And sure, you can chalk a lot of that up to the fact that the launch was filled with bugs and glitches, the quality of the animation wasn't there, the writing was certainly not on the same caliber as the original games.
Sorry, my face is tired from dealing with everything. And right now, I just want to know what happened with Alec.
But again, I think a huge part of it is this inability to find a new plot hook, an interesting narrative that is as enticing as the original, as the threat of the Reapers. That slow unraveling of what exactly the Sovereign is, that climactic battle to finally defeat it, only to be followed by the revelations of its ancient origins and the existence of an entire fleet of Reapers headed towards the Milky Way. That is the Mass Effect buy-in, that is what differentiates it from other sci-fi properties. It feels like if you were to just go back and explore different corners, different species, different parts of the history, they'd be interesting, but they wouldn't have that same Mass Effect oomph to it. Following a bunch of alien smugglers trying to outrun the galactic government, that sounds like it's too close to Star Wars. Come to think of it, even Star Wars struggles with this problem to some degree. Now, Star Wars has managed to circumvent these issues of narrative requirements more than the other two franchises, but they still struggle with it to some degree. Star Wars actually starts in a very similar position, where this unspeakably powerful weapon wielded by this terribly evil institution is being used against our struggling heroes. I just realized that the way I set it up, like all three beams are pointed at me, they're just blasting me. They hate me. Ah! And despite using this plot point twice in the original trilogy, and actually twice again in the sequels, Star Wars has been able to tell a more diverse array of stories within its world. Now, if you watched my Why Time Matters to World Building video, you partially know what I'm going to say. Time in Star Wars matters very little to the overall story. Star Wars can move 1,000 years into the past, Star Wars can move 10,000 years into the past, but things are still going to look pretty much the same. Empire, Sith, Jedi, Smugglers, Republic, Empires, you know the drill. This allows Star Wars to tell relatively the same story, but with different outlooks, different takes, different variations, and for the most part, people accept it. But Star Wars is able to move beyond the regular formula ever so slightly. Projects are allowed to go in on different vibes, emulate different genres and styles. Games go in on specific experiences, providing a variety of opportunities to explore different fantasies from different elements of the movies that people wanted to, have more of when they originally watched them. And sometimes they just decide to give the spotlight to aspects of the story that originally didn't get that much attention, and for some reason it works. I genuinely don't know why it works. I have theories. I think part of it is aided by the fact that the prequel trilogy is so stylistically, tonally, and narratively different from the original trilogy. It expanded greatly on the Jedi and the galaxy, and it infused a heavy amount of politics and scheming into the fabric of the Star Wars galaxy, while also teasing and heralding in the state that we would come to see in the original trilogy. And sure, there is the fact that Star Wars is primarily known for its movies, while Halo and Mass Effect are game franchises. The success criteria for those two mediums are entirely different. Yeah, and as we've talked about in the Star Wars movies, they do end up using the trope of the evil space station planet killer 4 times. But part of me feels like the way Star Wars is able to get away with this, aside from, the advantage of time and different mediums, is that they always pair a new vision with something classic. Oh, we're gonna do a spy thriller? We're gonna throw the Empire in there. Oh, we're doing a show about pirates? We're gonna throw the Jedi and the Force in there. Oh, we're doing a show about the Mandalorians? We're gonna throw the Empire and the Jedi and the Force in there. And then there was also everything going on in Legends, which just gets wacky. But I think the lesson that can be seen in Star Wars is that when it comes to creating new stories, when it comes to infusing new elements into the grand tapestry of its franchise, sometimes to its benefit, sometimes to its curse, the opportunities that has allowed Star Wars to move beyond its traditional routine have been ones that don't seek to chase that same kind of high. But it doesn't forget its roots. Even though it wants to go in a different direction, it always has to sprinkle in just a little bit, just a teensy amount of familiarity of classic setup so that it remains recognizable and intuitively a part of the same franchise. And honestly, I think we do have a really good example of what could have happened to Star Wars if all it did was try and replicate that same success over and over again, of trying to capture the total picture of its success instead of focusing in on the smaller areas that could be explored and embellished but never overshine the original. I desperately hope that Halo is able to find that part in itself, that it's able to champion a new chapter for its story, its franchise, these characters that have come to be beloved. On a personal level, I would just love to enjoy this world more, to be able to enjoy the creativity that it invites and the ways that it has fundamentally changed gaming for the better on all fronts. But also because this franchise means a lot more to many more people, and I would love for them to have the opportunity to have more Halo stories that they enjoy. I don't know if that entirely made sense,